morning, Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. We are here at Money Truth Moments. I am your host, Carlos Garcia, and I'm here with our very own Judy Copenbarger, wisdom expert in all money truth matters. Welcome, Judy. How you doing?
I'm awesome, Carlos. Good morning and happy Tuesday to you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Couldn't wait to get started for our show, making sure that we have a lot of ground to cover. We've been very busy, folks. If you haven't kept up, please do so. Follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. We've had some great last episodes in the last few weeks. We've talked about the Copenbarger method. We've talked about planning personal and family finances. But today we're going to continue with teaching the entire family about money. So what do you say we get started, Judy?
I'm ready to go. And it's 2 days into spring, and I love this time of year. So let's do it.
All right. Awesome. All right. So let's get back to talking about kids. Let's talk about how do we create an ongoing dialogue with our kids about money?
Well, it's that Nike thing. Just do it, right? Just do it. So it's like everything else when we're working with kids when they're littles, and then when they're in school, and then young adults even still come back sometimes for advice. And it's like anything else that we really want them to capture and to master. We want to be consistent with them, and we want to just give them good information. So if they're really small, you can just help them understand spending and saving their money, just the basics, counting up your quarters and putting them in the piggy bank and things like that. When they're older, it gets more complex. There's more about spending. There's more about debt leveraging and credit cards and all of that. But I think if we're consistent and we just keep the conversation going, they'll pick it up. And more importantly than what we tell them, we need to show them. We need to model for them. If we're not managing our money right, they're probably going to pick up those bad habits and make mistakes as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I think also following with that is, so when we talk about money, when we talk about things with kids, it always comes down to family, right? So what would you say in your career? I know you've helped thousands of people, and it's really pretty remarkable, which I want to talk about a little bit later in the show too. But what happens when what you've seen is when the entire family learns how to manage money? How do they benefit from it?
The outcome is amazing. It's night and day. So what shows up is not only the family connection and the family harmony and something that we're all doing together. We're all doing sports together. We're all doing art together. We're doing music together. We're doing gardening together. We're building our house together. It's all those things that you do together when you're in the trenches and there's challenges and you got to work it out. You got to communicate to get the outcome. It's the same with learning anything that you're doing together. And money impacts every area of our life. You can't separate it from all the areas of life. It's just a tool that kind of propels us. So if you want to, make a difference in the world, it's going to take some money or somebody with money to support you while you're doing that. If you want to build a big home, if you want to drive a nice car, if you want to start a business, it takes money to do all of those things and to help other people. It takes money at some level to do that. And even if you're giving your time and not your money is time. So you've got to have funding to do anything. So did I answer your question?
No, absolutely. But there's a follow-up question I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. So when we're talking about managing money, there's also a difference between what happens when a family learns how to be financially responsible together. So I want to know if you can talk a little bit about that as well too, please.
Yeah, well, it's about doing it together. I think that's where I left off. Anything that we do together brings us together. We learn how to communicate in that. We build a culture around that project or that idea, that we're propelling, or that outcome that we want to have. When we're working together, it brings us together, and we all grow in our own strengths and we grow in our own ambitions and in our own confidence. But when we do it together, there's something gelling about that. You think about like soldiers, they go to war and they're in the trenches, really in the trenches together. And when they come back, they have that bond. When you see military men and women with their people, even later in life, those are their brothers. Those are their sisters. They have that bond that is probably something, unless you've served, you'll never understand. Spouses know it's there, but they'll probably never understand that. It's just this amazing bond. And it's the same thing. I was very involved with mothers of preschoolers and mothers of moms supporting other moms. As our 5 children were coming up, I was speaking a lot. I was out on the circuit working with a lot of these young moms, hundreds of them monthly. And so I'd see all these young moms in the trenches trying to figure it out. How do I feed the baby? What kind of stroller do I get? How do I get him to go to sleep? Potty training. How do I keep him entertained and safe? All those questions you have if you're a new parent, a new mom. And those relationships that I built and the relationships that I observed while those moms were coming together, just trying to do it better every day, they were in the trenches together, and those bonds are lifelong. You think about college roommates. A lot of times later in life, people will go back and reflect on their college roommates and can't wait to get with them. And when they get together, it's like, oh my goodness, they were in the dorms together, 100 years ago. And they get together and it's like they're still 19 or 20 or 21 again. And they're still silly and they still have the same songs, the same cheers, the same stories that they tell over and over again because they were in the trenches together working for a common goal. At that point, it would have been to graduate or earn a degree or an advanced degree. So there's something about doing it together. So if you translate all of that to doing money together, which everybody needs to do anyway, why not master it, right? So you have more tools to propel you. We can do that together. So we can model for our children. We can tell them how we did it, share with them the mistakes that we've made. So now they don't have to do it through hard knocks. They can just go, okay, don't do it that way. Give them a shortcut, right? Give them the fast trail. So that's something that we can do for them and with them. And I think it's a bonding thing. It's a harmonious thing. It's a great education. And it's a wonderful thing that can bring a family together.
Love it. That's awesome. And I really appreciate you really talking about this. Folks, if you're just joining us, welcome. I am here speaking with Judy Copenbarger, Money Truth Moments, every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Please follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. She's got a wealth of resources and information, which we are going to cover as well. One of the things I want to talk about, and just to kind of remind folks as well, you've had an amazing career. Really, it's always been about helping people. So I want folks to just, if you can just remind some of our viewers and actually some of the new ones, get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your background and share maybe some of the great impacts you've had in helping folks, please.
Yeah, there are so many and on so many levels. So at one end, it's that ideal spiritual side, the highest level on Maslow's hierarchy, God and nirvana and heaven and all that. The spiritual things that I've been able to help people do, building churches, helping put together an estate plan that leaves a legacy of charity around the globe for decades, for generations, helping people on that kind of ethereal level, the very big picture level, why we're here. All the way down to the very other end of the spectrum, which is just helping a child learn how to earn, spend, manage their money, helping a young family figure out how to budget, how to do allowances, helping young people figure out how to get the benefits at work. If there's a 401k offered at work, what does that mean? And if they put $50 or $100 a month in it, what does that mean at the other end when it's retirement time? How that trajectory can be totally different by just knowing some of these basic concepts. So those are like the technical end, of things. And then in the middle, it's working with families. And for 40 years, working families, small businesses, and ministries, helping them manage well. And when we manage, I'm talking about a very holistic approach. There's growth and there's protection things that we do with our money. And basically, it boils down to 5 pillars. And I talk about those in Money, Truth, and Life. But the 5 pillars are legal. So it's getting your entity right. Do you have the right LLC or DBA, or are you using a C form for your little business, or is it grown enough? Now you need to have an S Corp or a C corporation. And when do I know, it's time to upgrade or to downgrade? Those are legal things. Things like wills and trusts that people often are asking us to help. I have a background in law. And so estate planning has been something we've done for many years with my husband as well. So getting a trust right to make sure that the next generations are protected. You don't have the intervention of the courts in your business, in your family business, and everything is streamlined to go to the next generation. And you're handing off something really whole for your children and your grandchildren. And you can do that in a protected way. So those are some legal things. The next area of protection, the second pillar, is insurances. So insurances is everything from health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, house insurance. If you have a business, the liability insurance, maybe professional liability. If you have an impactful business where people might sue you, because you might make a mistake. So getting all of those things right, having the protection you need, but not too much, because you don't want to be insurance poor. You have all this insurance, but no cash flow because the premiums are so high. So getting that calibrated just right, perfect protection. And then there's cash flows and cash reserves, having the right amount of money that's saved. And boy, we had a lesson in that in 2020. The businesses that had either capital available, they had cash on hand, or they had a line of credit available. Those are the businesses that were able to sustain. Families, same thing. The ones that had a line of credit or they had appropriate savings for a rainy day. For many families in this last year, a rainy day came and it rained for a long time. Still raining for a lot of people. So having cash and cash reserves and then the cash flows that are calibrated just right, that's a pillar that's very important. And then you have investments, and investments could be your real estate. It could be how you leverage, how you do your banking with your real estate. It's your business interests. And then all those other investments that we usually think about when you say the word investment, the IRAs and the 401ks and the 403bs, the retirement pension plans and the ESOPs, stock that you get from working for a corporation, stock and bond portfolios, having mutual funds, things like that, money markets. So all of those things build the 5 pillars. And when you get those 5 pillars right, you can really succeed. So it's knowing how to make decisions inside of those 5 pillars, because every choice you make every day around money happens in one or more of those. And so when you master the basics and then you can build on that, you'll avoid 95% of the mistakes. And they say statistics are made up 67% of the time on the spot. So maybe it's not 95%. It's very high, though. It's a very high number of mistakes that happen all the time. And some people repeat them, financial mistakes. We can avoid those by just knowing the basics and just having the right information to equip you to make good decisions.
That's awesome. And folks, I hope that you guys are taking some notes. We always talk about pen and paper. Judy's very adamant about that in the show as well. That's right. So I hope that you are taking some notes. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. We are discussing teaching the entire family about money. So I appreciate you sharing that as well too. And I'm going to take this a step further. So let's talk about, when we talk about family, we've talked about kids, but what about when it comes to, like, say, preschoolers? Should we be excluding them?
No, it's never too early to start. They're never too young to learn. So preschoolers, they can earn a lot. They can learn a lot about earning by giving them things that they can do to earn money. What we want to do is not put them into this world where they're entitled. Money just falls from heaven. I'm cute, and so I get paid. And you get a little older, I'm a little cuter, so I get paid more. You get a little older, I'm even more cute. I'm adorable, and now I get more money. As an adult, that didn't work that way for me. I was cute as a kid, now maybe not so cute. Money doesn't just come to me because I'm cute and adorable. It comes to me because I did something of value for which I'm being compensated. So why don't we train little kids the way the world works? So they need to do something. They need to perform. They need to complete a task. Then they get compensated. Isn't that just smart? Why would we teach them something that's totally the opposite of how the world works? Now, the exception is if you're a billionaire and you have money that it's going to last for generations and they never have to go to work. They just need to manage well and not, be spendthrifts at that point. But most of us don't have that opportunity. Most of us need to get up, think of something to do, either go to work or create our own job, perform somehow, complete a task for which we're compensated. And it doesn't mean you have to get up and work 9 to 5 or 60 hours a week. Some people do that and they're really good at that. Other people work very few hours, but they've learned how to multiply their time. So they're not compensated for their time. They're compensated for their either their product that they've created, or they're compensated for a service they're delivering, or somehow they built something that has recurring revenue, sustainable revenue. So all that being said, to say they can, pardon me, they can earn when they're little. These little preschoolers, the 3-year-olds, they can stack all the shoes by the front door in a line. They can sweep off the patio. They can empty the dishwasher and put the silverware away or set the table. There's a lot of things that they can do. They can clean out their drawers and they can put their toys away or get them all in a box ready to go to give to other kids that don't have enough toys. There are tasks that they can complete that are earned tasks, and then they get compensated for that. Now, after they're 3, 4, and 5 years old, there's bigger tasks and they can be compensated more. But at our house, what worked really well is they didn't get an allowance just because it's Friday. Just because it's the 15th of the month, they didn't get paid. Life for me as an adult isn't that it's the 15th, so I get paid, right? I have to do something for those 15 days before I get a paycheck. So we always had what we call earning chores. And they could, for a while we had the charts when they were really small. But if they wanted to go buy a really great Disney movie for their friend for a birthday sleepover birthday party, okay, what are you going to do to earn the $20? Right now, I don't know if there's still $20. They're probably not anymore. But what are you going to do to earn? Come up with a plan for value that you can deliver for which you'll be compensated. And that worked really well at our house. It's not the only way to do it, but it's a way that really was effective and has been for many, these thousands of families you talk about. Many of them over the past 10, 20, 30 years, they write in and they share and they call me and they say, here's what we did, here's how they're doing, and here's how it worked. So that's one idea that maybe you could implement if you have littles at your house or if you have grandkids and you're integrating, your values into their lives. You can make sure that when they have money, it came because they earned it. Now, the exception is holidays and birthdays and things like that if you want to gift them. But for regular money that they're going to use for their life, their little lives, their saving and their spending and things like that, they really should earn it, in my opinion, and learn how to bring value to the world. Oh, I think we lost audio, Carlos. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I want to talk a little bit about some of the resources that are available. First of all, your book, Money, Truth, and Life, bestseller, several platforms. I want you to talk a little bit about that for folks to know that there is that resource. And also on your website, on judycopenbarger.com, you also have an online mastery program that actually is very beneficial, not only to individuals, but families as well. So I'd like to take a moment for you to talk about those two fabulous resources, please.
They are amazing resources, and I wish everyone had them early in life. So if you've got people that are just adulting, they're just kind of launching, and you want them to avoid a lot of those mistakes, these are resources. They're either cheap or free that you can use to really help them. And wherever you are in life, maybe it's time to review these things and optimize what you're doing in terms of spending and paying taxes. Maybe you pay too much tax or too much insurance premium. This is a way for you to know what you should be doing so you can kind of check it against what you're doing. So Money, Truth, and Life is the book. It is a bestseller. It's amazing. It's just been very well received. I'm so excited about it. Our team has done a great job getting it out there in the world this last year. It goes through the 5 pillars of finance that I've discussed, and it gives you real life stories from our lives, from clients' lives, of things they did really well that propelled them, and things that they did that really caused a lot of problems. They didn't see it coming, and things that you could avoid or help friends and family avoid just by knowing that. But it goes through all the 5 pillars. It gives you a primer level. What does it mean? What is the difference between a revocable and an irrevocable trust? What should I have at my house?
Right.
What about permanent and term insurance? What should I have at my house? Maybe both, maybe neither. I don't know. So it gives you enough of a foundation to know how to make smart choices around those things. Now that's the book, and you can order it anywhere they have books. It's on Target and Books A Million and um, what's the big one? Barnes and Noble. But Amazon, if you like to read on your Kindle or if you like to read online, digital, it's just a few bucks. It's like a Starbucks coffee. It's very inexpensive. Otherwise, the book, if you want a hard copy, is $20 or something. And if you want an autographed one, just reach out, and I'm happy to do that for people that like to have signed books. Now, you also asked about the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. It is phenomenal. It again goes through the 5 pillars of finance, but it goes with all the stories. It goes with everything you need and the templates to do it at your house. So if you have a financial planner, like a strategic planner that really does planning and not just sell you products, which is okay too. But most people say they're a planner and they're not. They're consultants and they're salespeople. But if you really have a planner, this will help you understand exactly what track you're on and how on track you are. Most people, even if they're paying a high level comprehensive planner, find gaps because not one planner can be all things to all people. And there are all these pillars, all these things that you could check out. So that's something for if you have a planner. Now, if you don't, and you don't want to hire one, you don't know where to start, you want to kind of do it on your own, or you're pretty successful already doing it on your own, it'll help you again identify any gaps that you have. Oh, maybe I should have looked at that, or maybe I could optimize that area of finance and just bring it up to speed. But that course is done with videos kind of like this. And it's got everything in there. It's got the templates you need, the worksheets you need to actually do it at your house. So when it comes to a spending plan, when it comes to an insurance analysis, when it comes to a will and trust, like estate planning analysis, it helps you go through and ask yourself all the right questions. And when you ask yourself all the right questions, you're going to get the right answer for you, for what you need to do at your house every time.
Awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing that, folks. You've heard it. There's a wealth of resources also at on Judy's website at judycopenbarger.com. She's got all of her links to social media. She's got great videos also on her YouTube channel as well. And the great thing about this, it's all free resources. So it's good for you guys to take advantage of it too. And one thing I want to make sure that folks understand, and I want to make this very clear, is that these resources that Judy has put out, I've gotten to know Judy now for work, I think, believe we're going on a year working together. And she's the real deal, guys. I mean, she's not in this to sell books, be famous or anything like that, like a lot of folks you see on TV and other areas. This is her making a difference. Really, it's all about her legacy. And I want you to talk a little bit about why you're doing this work, why you're just basically spending so much time to teach this, to talk to folks, to put out all of these resources. Because, at the end of the day, people think, oh, no, it is about the money. It's not about the money, folks. And that's what I want them to hear from you. What is this really all about, Judy?
That's a great question. And you're right, it's not about the money because the money is flowing the other way. All the production and all the SEO and all the websites and all the stuff, the videos and videographers and editors and all that, it's costly. And publishing books is costly. So, but I do it because I want to have in the world what I've learned and the concepts that I've used with families and small businesses and ministries to help them get to the next level, help them succeed and help them get exactly out of life what they want, to be purposeful in how they use their money and steward it. And so this is all the things I've learned over 40 years, putting it all in one little package to help other people, hopefully long after I'm here, because these concepts are timeless. They worked 2,000 years ago. They'll work 2,000 years from now. They're timeless. So having that out in the world gives me a little sense of satisfaction, of responsibility. It's like I learned all this. I don't want to die with it in my head. I want the world to have it. So it's understanding all these concepts in finance and law and insurance and investments that can be very daunting. There's a lot. I mean, you could go to school for a long time in any one of these disciplines, and I have done a lot of that. But you can't ever master all of it. Taxes, for example, as soon as you figure it out, they change the laws, and now we got to learn all the new laws. So there's a lot to it. So how do you navigate that? Well, Money, Truth, and Life is the way to navigate that well, to avoid all the pitfalls, avoid all the mistakes, avoid all the rabbit holes that you don't want to go down, and just stay on the path to get you exactly where you need to get for your family. That's what Money, Truth, and Life is all about.
And thank you for sharing that. For me, it's very important that folks get to know the real Judy, and that's exactly what it's all about. So you've heard it straight from Judy's mouth, folks. So make sure, again, if you're not connecting with her, follow her at judycopenbarger.com. Make sure that you are following her on social media as well. And again, take a look at the resources. It's only going to cost you time, with everything that she's got on there. Invest in yourself. So it's not a sales pitch. I just want to make sure that folks also realize that this is just a great opportunity for you to, take wherever you're at to the next level as well too. So speaking of the next level, here comes a favorite part of our show. Time for a Money Truth Challenge. All right.
It is. Here's our challenge. Well, I was reflecting on spring. You know, the first day of spring was just a couple of days ago this year. And I love spring. It's my favorite. You know, some people love fall. Some people love the winter time. For me, it's spring. It's when all of the pollinators are out, the bees are out, the birds are out. All of the critters are having babies. The trees are waking up. And all those bare bark trees now are budding and the green is coming out. And when you look at the hills, they're not brown anymore. I love spring. I love planting. I love hatching our little chicklings. I love all of that. So I was kind of reflecting about this time of year and what it means for people. For a lot of folks, they're preparing for Easter, and there's the spiritual side, the faith-based side of that. And Catholics in particular are very diligent, very intentional this time of year with their Lent and preparing spiritually for what's about to come. There are feasts this time of year. And so I was thinking about, we're not Catholic and we don't do Lent, but I was thinking about what it represents for people. And the action is giving up something for a spiritual purpose. It's like a fast, kind of. So some people will say, well, for this whole period of time, I won't have coffee, I won't eat chocolate, I won't do whatever it is. So I was thinking about this could be spring new, right? It's new time. It's the time for self-improvement. It's the time for new awareness. It's a time for a reboot, for a reset. And it could be spiritual for you. It might be physical for you. It might be financial for you. Maybe it's just about planting some, some garden items, some tulips out there or lettuce or something. So you think about what you can produce, and we usually as goal setters do that. What can I do? What can I gain? What can I succeed at? But I really think the focus ought to be on what can I give up in this period of time? What should I let go of? What's not serving me well? What behaviors are not serving me well? What people should I have less of in my life? And you know who they are, right? What should I give up for this spring? That's number one. Pen and paper. The second thing is, how will giving that up make my life better? What will the outcome be because I have less of that or none of that in my life? And then the third thing is, what are a couple of action items that I can implement? What activities can I take on to work toward removing those people, removing those behaviors, removing those habits, removing that thinking? What could I do to actually take action? And maybe it's learning something. Maybe it's meditating on something. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's, you need to fire somebody, or you need to, not hang out with whoever that is so much. If they're relatives, it's tricky because they're still your relatives. But, there are those things that we could do less of or have less of in our life that make it better. So you have three things, right? What can I give up? How will that make my life better? And what am I going to do about it right now? That's your challenge.
Awesome. You've heard the challenge. I hope you wrote it down. If you are just joining us, please watch the beginning of the show and make sure you get to the challenge. We always encourage our viewers to share that with us, whether it's on social media or send us a message, because we'd love to share some of the amazing accomplishments you guys as viewers get to do when we provide some of these challenges. So we're pretty much at the end of our show, Judy. I want to thank you again for being here. Folks, if you're just joining us, again, watch the video from the beginning. Follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. Again, we've talked about a wealth of resources that's available. We are here every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, so make sure you tune in, share the feed, and make sure that there's a lot of folks that can benefit for some of the discussions that we've been putting on there. So any last parting words, Judy?
Yeah, find some little people in your life and bless them. Help them learn about money. So whether they're your kids or your grandkids or neighbor kids or whoever, think about helping them really master their money as little kids. I think that'll be something worth spending some time on. And have a blessed week.
Awesome. And on that note, folks, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Judy.
My pleasure.